All right, it's soccer over there. It's Nick Leafy. We have a full house this evening. We have Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett _Smith.
Yo.
Guys, there's some stuff I want to get into really quick. Can I have the floor? A point of order.
You can have the floor. We have no rundown. It's the international break, so anything can happen. Just have that under advisement, everybody who's choosing to listen.
Just give us a manifesto.
That's right. So here's something that's coming up soon. It is we can all agree that the right good gentlelady from Reading, Miss Jessica Charvin of Soccer in the Streets, is an honorable individual. Can we agree on this so far?
Yes. I have seen nothing to think otherwise.
Okay,
so stipulated.
So stipulated. So I wish to bring forward, if I may, to the chamber, the fact that she has fully stacked her Colombia team for the Nations Cup, in which an honorable charity, Soccer in the Streets, will be the beneficiary of said funds. And I am bringing a team. We don't have Italy. We have to go with Belgium, so it's okay. I would like to point out that their team is incredibly stacked. I'm calling out right now the powers that be to look into this. We had Michael Avenatti looking into this earlier. He's been arrested by the FBI, so he's off the case. I can't.
You might need some more help there, Nick.
Yeah, got distracted.
So we need to find individuals to look into how stacked that Colombia team is. I demand an inquiry.
You're worried about the wrong things, though, because I was on hand for a ATL Champions League event that saw the Tottenham squad bring in Edgar freaking Davids, and they did not win.
This is true, and but to be fair, I've watched a match where Darren Eales got out there and just caned everyone on the field. So, you got to be careful when you consider stacked, because it can get kind of sideways.
The pressure can be too much.
Never know when the president's going to put one in the roof of the net on a small goal, no less.
Yes.
Well, I'm letting everyone know right now that I am taking my tournament preparation seriously. And so, first of all, I want to say that I want to give a shout out to Pizzeria Azzurri for coming through and sponsoring. They came through, guys. They dropped $100. They dropped $100. Can you believe this?
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's really nice of them to switch their allegiance from Italy to Belgium for you.
They did that just for
Greece. Italians owned Greece for like the first half of the millennia anyway.
Look, all I'm saying is Pizzeria Azzurri came through. Maria Cummings came through. Allison Cupertino came through. We had a couple of anonymous donations. Shout out. Thank you so much to everyone who's been donating. But I'm just letting you guys know that I've posted my link on @Nicolifi. If you guys still want to donate to a great cause, Jason can speak to the more legitimate, things that Soccer in the Streets does for the community and the great things that are happening out there. But I just wanted to say right now that I am joining it's a high intensity training facility nearby called Elite Edge. I will be joining them the month of April to go through professional training to get ready for this tournament. That's how seriously I take your donations. When you donate to Nicolifi on my page for Soccer in the Streets, professional training, I will post photos of my professional training. It is happening. That's the level
and
of
third-person references.
The level of commitment that
He's went full rock.
That's what happens.
A vote for Nicolifi is a vote for Rapto.
I'm just saying that the right good gentlelady from Reading should prepare herself and her constituents accordingly, because I am ready to bring the ruckus to the minions of Colombia. So Felipe Cardenas, you better start training. You told me a minute ago you were lagging. I'm just letting you know that Belgium is the diamond import capital of the world, and just like diamonds are forever, so is Team Belgium, baby, because we're taking it to a new level.
That was going to be my question: was if Felipe Cardenas is a part of that Colombia team, because I can't imagine him putting on a shirt for anybody else.
No, he's a part of Team Colombia, and I've heard word that he's been putting out in the street that I won't be ready for said tournament.
Wow.
So Felipe Cardenas.
We need to find out about this on Thursday.
You can tell the rest of your cohort to stay on another planet because I reserve the stratosphere for us.
Should we be there to, like, I don't know, commentate?
Well, I believe we have to document what is going on in Nicolife's mind when it comes to what's happening in this particular competition of global proportions.
Nick pretty much did just cut the Dusty Rhodes promo.
He cut a Dream promo, yeah. He drifted from Flair and then went Dream on us in the same promo.
Hey, that's how we do things in this new.
It's a greatest hits package for Nicolife, friend.
That's right.
Time to get funky like a monkey, Jack.
Well, I'm telling you, everybody just needs to be there. If you can't be there, don't be afraid to donate. Just like NPR, we're doing the donation drive to start off soccer over there. Don't be afraid to get on this train because I'm telling you, it's for a great cause. I'm on board. You have phenomenal people all around town who are on board. You like these little station soccer things that are getting sprung up everywhere? Oh, wow, it's so cool. They get station soccer at these turf fields. Oh, my God. Kevin Egan's getting nutmegged on these fields on national television. How is this happening?
Now you're calling out Egan, too? Wow.
You get Egan. You get Egan. I want Egan on a plane from Miami. You get Egan on a plane. You tell him to hobo his way up here for this tournament. I'm going to pay it back. Let him know.
Man.
I'm going to advise against fighting Kevin Egan. As your temporary counsel, I have to advise against fighting Kevin Egan.
Yeah, this is getting out of hand. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do. All right. So out of the SDH universe, I know you're playing for Belgium. I think everybody else is playing for Colombia. Jessica's playing for Colombia. Felipe's playing for Colombia. I believe Kelly Francis is playing for Colombia as well. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct as well.
I think that's it. I think that's the SDH universe participating in the Nations Cup. So out of the four of you, whoever wins the SDH man or woman of the match, as judged by me, they will get a donation on the day.
Oh, there we go. I like this plan.
So it's down to the quality of the performance. Okay, you're going to match, so we have to agree on the man or woman of the match then.
Yes.
That's fine. We'll come to an agreement and I'll match.
All right, cool.
So guys,
there will be a donation on the day, but it has to be for a quality performance.
There we go. I completely co-sign this. And just so you guys know in advance, it's ALIFFI when you want to make that checkout, okay?
Oh, man.
Let's go ahead and get that ready. So it's the international break. So that's why we're able to burn up almost 10 minutes of the show opening on trash talking in the name of charity. It's trash talking down here. Guys, is there anything over the international break so far that has stuck out to you from our dear friends over there?
Montserrat's almost.
Yeah, Montserrat almost
Scotland
made it. We talked about
team
that.
in Europe.
Scotland's terrible. I think we already knew that, though. What else? I mean, today
Montenegrins are apparently drawing the ire here at Southgate today.
Well, leave that one to the side. Well, that's serious business. We'll talk about that in a minute. I watched some of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, and the Libya-South Africa match was kind of insane. The calls for VAR were pretty ridiculous. It was out of hand. The referee definitely seemed like he was in over his head. I would have liked to have watched the CONCACAF ones, but I ranted about that this morning. I am excited to see some new faces in the CONCACAF Gold Cup this summer. Bermuda gets in. Zako Lewis from the Charleston Battery had a hand in that one. And Guyana gets in. Warren Creval from Ackworth will be playing in the Gold Cup for Guyana. Pretty cool.
The Lake people.
And the other thing, too, is the CONCACAF Nations League. All right, so I was skeptical when the whole Nations League format came up. I think the UEFA Nations League has been, I'd say, at least somewhat of a success. I mean, it's taken some just nothing windows and made them something. I think the CONCACAF Nations League could be interesting. It'll give you some more matches, and with where qualifying is going, and not this cycle, but the next. Well, this cycle, if Infantino gets his way and gets to expand the World Cup for 22, which is crazy because I don't think they have enough stadiums for a regular World Cup, let alone an expanded one. But when they expand the World Cup and qualifying is much more of a formality in CONCACAF, I think the Nations League will take on additional significance because you'll get those U.S.-Mexico games that we've looked for in the Hex. You'll get them in CONCACAF Nations League, and that'll elevate the whole competition. I think it'll elevate the region, too. I think it'll be a good thing overall.
I have a major issue with the fact that, and I know you guys hit on this morning, but I just want to chime in. The fact that the CONCACAF game, you're talking about $30 a month.
That's crazy.
That's beyond stupid.
Nope.
And you have no value behind it. There's no value. Like if you go on ESPN Plus and just look at the wealth of content that they have. Like, if soccer's not your first sport, they have UFC. They have college. It's a lot of FCF games. You have the North Dakota States of the world versus Georgia Southern. But it's great content. You have basketball, you have NHL, you have so much. And they have Major League Baseball, and who else has what now on Flow Sports? What else do they have?
Yeah, and how much is ESPN Plus, by the way?
Oh, it's like $5 a month.
$5.
It's $4.99. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I want to watch Montserrat. All right,
2 gallons of gas.
I want to watch Bermuda.
Oh.
And I don't get to.
St. Martin, St. Martin.
Yes, I wanted to see the battle for bragging rights on the island. But anyway, okay, we complained about that. Come on, CONCACAF, please.
Yeah.
Give me the content.
Give me the content.
At a reasonable price.
Step your game.
Good luck on that.
On ESPN
Well,
Plus,
hey, everybody else does.
I know, but Flo has decided to go top end instead of bottom up.
Well, then they're not going to get any top-end numbers because they're not getting my money. I know that much. And I can't imagine many people are giving them their money.
No. Fanatics and ESPN Plus are my 2 streaming options.
Fanatics is amazing. I love Fanatics because I can watch random talk shows about the Argentine national team and people losing their minds on a daily basis.
I just like on TYC, they have these shows where they have like a full charcuterie board with like red wine at like 9:00 in the morning, and they're talking soccer. I just think that's amazing.
Well, and they show like second and third division matches, and they show Copa Argentina matches, and we got to talk Copa Argentina for a minute. All right.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So it wasn't part of the international break, but the Copa Argentina, the competition had went away for a long time, and they brought it back, and the games are played in neutral sites, which is kind of interesting. It gives it an interesting vibe. You'll get fans traveling, not super far, but a decent distance to go see these games. And you'll get kind of split venues. It's a really cool feel. Now, the tournament looks like it's the most unorganized thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, when you look at the round that is going on now, it's the round of 64, and you've got matches that were played in the round of 64 like a month or 2 months ago, and then you've got matches that won't get played for another month. I mean, it just makes no sense how this thing was scheduled. It's the most bonkers tournament I have ever seen. I'm trying to pull it up now. So you're in the round of 64. You've got about 10, 12 results already. And you've got some games that won't take place until April 19th. So you've got the round of 32 with teams just waiting, and it'll get scheduled at some point. Then, round of 16 and then quarterfinal and semifinal, final. So anyway, you're at the stage right now where you're getting like really crazy matchups. You're getting 4th division teams against Superliga teams. What was the one that we watched that the 4th division team had to come back, or the 4th division team had to lead the whole way, and it turned at the very end? Godoy Cruz and Deportivo Armenio.
Yes.
It was 1-0 Armenio the whole way, and Godoy Cruz scored twice in stoppage time. Just craziness. But that was all topped by Newell's Old Boys yesterday against Vija Mitre, which is a 4th division team, little tiny team. They've been in the 2nd division like twice in their history.
Jason, what about a game like that could have possibly topped Godoy Cruz? I mean, what could have possibly happened?
A toilet being launched at police.
2.
Okay, I just saw the one on video. A toilet being thrown at cops. That's what can
It's
top
basically a
Gateway Cruise.
fireman brought the hoses and went after the Bar Bravas.
If you get hit with a flying toilet, yes, you're going to open up the water hose. Like, absolutely.
Oh, my God.
It was a flying toilet.
That's not a wrestling move.
Where the toilet
it was
used
the
to be.
legitimate flying toilet.
Yeah, not part of it. It was the thing. It was like, go to Home Depot and pick up a toilet and throw it. Congratulations, you're now part of the Bar Bravas.
It was unbelievable. Newell's lost to Vija Mitre because their fans were obviously not happy. They're throwing toilets. They're not very happy at this stage. It was crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. The play was stopped completely in the 90th minute. The match did not finish.
Nope. Called it after 5.
I mean, just at the beginning, in the first minute, there was a slight delay to the kickoff, and this is from the Newell's Old Boys English fan account on Twitter. After a slight delay, so the captain of Vija Mitre could tell their fans to get down from a barbed wire fence in the stadium. We are underway.
Yes.
Yes.
That kicked things off. Then Vija Mitre went up 2-0, and like they would cut to their fans in the stands, and like it was every emotion you can imagine. Like crying, laughing, celebrating, like freaking out, like everything you can imagine was what was going on. And then it all turns at the end, and the Newell's fans were not very happy. And they were demanding the board to resign, and they were demanding, I think, the manager to resign. And he did, but then I think the players have asked him to finish out the season, and it's just insanity. There's a video of a toilet being thrown. No, the manager, the coach. He resigned. He talked about resigning, but now it sounds like he hasn't resigned.
Okay.
But there's videos of the toilet being thrown. Like that happened.
Yeah, hit a cop.
Yes.
It didn't graze him either. Like hit him in the chest.
Yeah,
like,
it was a solid shot.
Because whoever threw that thing, like they got to run and start.
I mean, the video is amazing because it's just showing like an angle of. It's just showing an angle like you see the supporters behind the corner flag, behind a fence. The cops are right there, and you don't see the person with the toilet. And all of a sudden, the toilet, like the tank, comes flying through and hits the corner flag, and then hits a cop in the chest.
Again,
Insane.
That thing, you either had to run it.
If I was the Argentine Track and Field Federation, I would find that dude and train him for the hammer throw for the next Olympiad.
Oh, shot put.
Yes.
Assuming. Or either one. He could have gotten a little rotation. That person either had about a 20-yard running start, or somehow or another, former strongman Mariusz Pujanowski is a Newell's Old Boy fan, which would be a great turn of events. And just went down there and just shot put that thing a good, what would you say, a good 30 feet in the air.
Looked at
that thing looks like it was shot out of a Civil War cannon.
Well, and here's what's the worst thing about all this. So this wasn't even Newell's stadium. It's Union.
Yeah.
Like a different team stadium.
Who's cleaning this mess?
Their stadium's a mess. I mean, everything is busted in this place now.
It's like Atlanta fans throwing a toilet in RFK.
And it is, but it's not. It wouldn't be an Atlanta DC game. It would be like an Atlanta Philadelphia game at RFK, yeah. And then DC United's got to deal with it. Like, what? We weren't even here. What did we do? Now Union's got Copa Sudamericana coming up, and now they've got to fix their house because people busted things. It's stupid. When players leave the Argentine Superliga to come to the United States, and you wonder why. Flying toilets.
Example 1.
Well, if you watch the video as it goes, it's almost like they form like an ant line and start just passing stuff down. Looks like there's a couple coolers. that are working their way down toward the fence whenever the cops start spraying. There's all sorts of other shrapnel and God knows what else being launched over the barbed wire fence. It is absolutely insane video. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, by all means, please go look at it, because a lot of your questions will be answered as to why players leave Argentina in general to come here.
Why would Pity Martinez come to MLS when he does want to go to Europe? And, hey, that whole thing got blown so far out of proportion. He wants to play in Europe. Every player in South America wants to play in Europe.
You mean the same thing Miguel Almiron said?
Exactly, yeah. There's that. Many players who grew up here and have played in MLS their whole life, if they get the chance to go to Europe, they're going to go, and they will say they want to go to Europe. But you wonder why Pity did not want to stay at River Plate to wait it out? This type of stuff. I mean, it's the tweets are dead on. This is why you usually don't have away fans in venues in Argentina, because of this type of stuff. And it's just so toxic at times. I mean, yes, Newell's Old Boys losing to a 4th division team, Villa Mitre, is an incredible embarrassment. And the fans to be upset and all that, completely understandable. And it's been a bad season for Newell's. But there's a difference between being upset and booing and maybe writing some mean blogs and throwing toilets.
Also, the check clears in Atlanta, because that's not always the case in South America.
That's not always the case. At River Plate, it would have been the case. It's not always the case. Newell's is one of those clubs that it's not always the case. So it's a sad thing, because, I mean, you know, you guys know this. I love the history of the game in Argentina. I love the passion of the game in Argentina, but this is not passion. This is madness, and I don't know what you do. I mean, I think there's bigger issues at hand culturally that are problems, and there's bigger just dramas in Argentina way beyond the game of soccer, but I hate to see this type of stuff. I hate to see a proud club like Newell's, who, you know, gave Atlanta Franco Escobar. Tata Martino played there, started his career. He has a stand named after him there. Marcelo Bielsa, so many greats of the game came through that club, and this is not what they, you know, want to be associated with. It's a very sad thing.
Well, let me ask you this, if I may. What is the impact of, say, making them play in an empty stand? Like, making them play in an empty stadium. Does that sort of punishment ever actually work?
I think it can. I think the problem with a situation like this is if you do that to Newell's and you take away gate revenue, they're probably not paying their players. And that's a really bad situation to begin with. They were way behind on payments at the beginning of the season. And I think it did get sorted out, it got sorted out to some degree because they were allowed to play. That's the other element of it. You know, it's one thing if it's a mega club that is not, you know, 3-4 months behind in paying their players. It's a different one when you've got players who are probably going to get some money out of that gate.
You know, something that really blows my mind is we talk about the insanity of Argentina. We take it to the national side, where on Friday, Argentina lost to Venezuela 3-1. And the Argentine national team looks like an absolute disaster. And you have to wonder how much stuff like this plays into that. I mean, it can be loosely connected, you don't know, but it just seems to me like it couldn't help but bleed into other things. That level of insanity, that level of pressure. I mean, this was like a Copa Argentina game that you had this kind of insanity happening. God knows what the national team's dealing with. So, you know, it just seems to me that this is something, you know, good for Venezuela on that, but the Argentine national team, I have no clue how they perform under that kind of pressure.
We know to a degree some of the things that happen with the national team. I mean, think back to the last World Cup and all of the craziness that was going on around the Argentine camp. You know, at one point there was talk that the players had basically, like, told Sampaoli to sit down and shut up and that they were going to take care of things. There was talk that he was going to get replaced. There was talk about the players doing it themselves. There was talk about, I think, Argentina bringing somebody in to replace Sampaoli. All kinds of stuff.
Dangerously close to 2010 France.
Oh, past it. I mean, I think in a lot of ways has passed it because that 2010 France team was good, but it wasn't what Argentina could have been in this one. It's amazing that Argentina got out of the group stage with all this nonsense going on. And they barely qualified.
They didn't back out, excuse me. It was Messi drugged them through.
Yeah. And that's what's the shame about it is you have one of the all-time greats in Lionel Messi who, it feels like he's above the fray and all this stuff, but he gets dragged down with it. And he has this opportunity this summer in Copa America to win a trophy at the senior level with his national team. And it could be his last opportunity. I mean, you think maybe he'll be there in 3 years in the World Cup, but I don't know. And every tournament could be his last one, and you'd hate to see his career end without a major trophy at the national team level. The guy deserves it. He's one of the all-time greats, but the stuff he has to deal with on a regular basis is just insanity.
Well, what Argentina needs to do is find a way to get the absolutely insane Mauro Icardi and Lautaro Martinez on the field at the same time, just the exact same way that Inter does. And, when you start thinking about the head cases that are floating around that team and that Messi has been able to drag them as far as he has so many times, it's just mind-bending, the albatross around that man's neck. But one thing I do want to update everyone on as far as Icardi goes and his absence from Inter is that, according to reports, Mauro and his lawyer, not Wanda, sat down with the team, and now he's back training. So Wanda has been seemingly removed from the negotiations, and then she promptly removed everyone from her Instagram account. So,
including her husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where everyone's like, wait, what?
Okay.
Yeah. So, as the world turns, is happening right now in Icardi land, and seemingly also for the Argentine national team. So it all ties together, guys. This wonderful
so-called Wanda.
That's right. But there's some other stuff trickling out of the international world, and that is allegedly that Real Madrid will make a 280 million euro bid for one Mr. Mbappe. Now,
someone just pop the bubble on this financially, please.
Yeah. Look. I want him out of PSG. I don't think playing at PSG is going to help that man at all. But allegedly, according to reports out of Marca now, that Real Madrid deny interest. We will not make any offer for Mbappe. Said the headlines. Now, we all know how this works. That Real Madrid will say, no, we're not remotely interested in that player. Then all of a sudden they launch some 300 million euro bid later on. But if you are Real Madrid, and this is the exercise I'm putting forth to you guys now, do you bid 280 million for Mbappe? If you have 280 million at your disposal, you're Real Madrid. Are you tabling this bid for this man, or are you going to get someone else with that cash? Because keep in mind, even though no team has unlimited money, and especially in the world of financial fair play, even though some teams seem to dodge it like a cartoon villain, we'll, in this world of make-believe, say that 280 million is it. Is it Mbappe? Is it someone else? I open the floor to you.
I mean, there's nobody else I could think of that you'd spend that kind of money for. Now, would you take that money and buy multiple players? I would lean that way because I think it's more than one player to solve it. But I don't think there's another player that I would drop that kind of crazy money on.
John?
No, I'm. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know who else would qualify for that kind of a check writing. And to Jared's point, well, Neymar. But, just yikes. Oh, and belated happy birthday to Ray, by the way. But it's just PSG to me is such a paper tiger because you've won League 37 years in a row now. I mean, it's just Well, for the 1 year that Monaco outspent them, and then the dude, the Russian oligarch who owned Monaco, got in trouble and basically is now in hiding, I think. But it's just get him, just go. I mean, I feel like PSG is going to win Liga anyway. Get Mbappe out of there and get him moving. But just the whole saga over there is just. Figure it out, folks. And to Jarrett's point, just get rid of FFP, because that to me is so unenforceable, and you can't just no. I feel like Ross in the Friends episode. No. Just let them spend, and whoever can, and whoever can't, whatever. Not like they're not going to get around the rules anyway.
Yeah, that would be my question is $280 million. How much does that leave you to bribe financial fair play? How much leeway do you have left for bribery reasons? Because aside from that, man, I mean, look.
Such an ugly word.
Okay, coerce, assure.
Encourage.
We're financially encouraging people, Jarrett.
Yes, there you go. It's financial encouragement.
Providing financial benefit to our benefactors. My thing is, like, you do have more problems than that if you're Real Madrid. You got more problems than dropping $280 million on one guy. You got players who are, key guys who are not getting any younger. And you need to kind of figure that part out of your life. And I get that you can spend your way out of problems, but when you spend your way out of problems, every now and then you kind of spend your way into a rut. And you can spend your way out of it. It just takes a little bit of time, but you don't exactly have patient fans. Take that money and just divvy it up over four guys who can come in and make a huge difference. Don't blow it all on one guy just so you got to go bribe financial fair play later. I don't know. You're just going to bribe financial fair play later anyway.
Well, the thing about financial fair play is if you have like a country like Qatar or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it today, potato. At the end of the day, they have a team, but they also have like 5 billion other small businesses they can funnel cash through to help dodge the regulations, right? Like, we have a sponsorship through this like one-man TV repair company that somehow managed to donate, to buy a sponsorship for 150 million euro. God knows how that happened. But there are ways around it. I'm with you guys. If you're going to just take the lid off, and if some moron wants to come through and spend half their net worth on a soccer team, go for it. And if a team goes under in the process, then a team goes under, and it's it'll become part of the new ecosystem, unfortunately. And but it's really no different than what's been going on for God knows how long. Because if you have a mid-table team that has that investment, and then the investment doesn't pan out, and the team drops down another level to a City B or an EFL or God knows what, they're not really going to get back from that. And if they do miraculously rise from the depths, are they really going to be able to get beyond mid-table in today's world with financial fair play? Not for a few years.
I wonder when the sword of Damocles falls financially with all of this, because you do have, all of these teams who can spend. Remember a few years ago when Bale goes to Real Madrid for $100 million, everybody lost their mind. Now we're talking $280 million. It's an absurd number. How high does that number go before the bubble pops? Before, the hands go up and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. Is it going to be another young guy who gets an offer after the next World Cup for $320 million? Is that where we're going next? Because at that point, man, it's such a level of absurdity. I struggle to function with it, and I struggle to comprehend it, honestly. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, you want to spend your way into getting your club put into financial administration, man, you go right ahead. That's between you and
Ask
God.
Bolton how that's going.
Can we get into something else that's absurd?
Yes.
Remember our good friend Charlie Stilitano and his idea to bring a Serie A match or a La Liga? I think he said La Liga, but I think he at one point referenced Serie A, maybe, but then he went all in on La Liga and it didn't happen. And everybody went nuts,
La Liga
right?
said nope. Yes.
Well, Serie A might not be saying those types of things.
Nope.
They did a deal
Tell me
with
Serie A will do things for money?
Chinese money, yes. They did a deal with the Chinese government to develop footballing ties between the two countries. And some of the things that are on the table that could happen with this would be the playing of Serie A matches, the Italian Super Cup, or the Italian or Coppa Italia in China. So Gwen's riled up. She doesn't like this. Could happen within the next 3 years. Nick, what do you think?
Well, one, according to Reuters, the Serie A Serie A president said it's unlikely that Serie A matches will be played in China. But we all know that money talks, and we know that with the appropriate amount of financial encouragement, that teams, are not necessarily going to shy away from that.
Who would be the most likely to sell out a home game and play it in China?
Juventus.
Wow, you didn't even hesitate.
Yeah,
nope.
Juventus. No, they're publicly traded. They're a publicly traded company. They're going to do what is necessary to make money for their shareholders.
What's best for business?
It is what's best for business. It is if you watch professional wrestling and the McMahon family with the corporate, the corporate bad guys, that's them. And so Juventus would be absolutely game for that. And I think it would be a team like a Bologna, even a Roma maybe, with an owner who is likely would say maybe a little more open to that kind of revenue generator. But
and strange how Juventus would never come to the States now in the current environment.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Really interesting.
That's what happens. That's what happens when your darling player is under investigation for rape. It's crazy how that works. Shocking that they won't do that now. I wonder if they will ever change their mind. But Aurelio De Laurentiis, who is the president for Napoli, I don't think there's any way in the world that he would take Napoli to China for a regular season a Serie A game. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, if you want to take it, to the U.S. or something like that, maybe. But I don't think that in any way in the world would they take that to China. It infuriates me because it's the state that Serie A is in right now, where after years of being successful and building this thing back up to some level of respectability around somebody who I'll call a scumbag, Ronaldo. But I would have to say that I think Serie A is in a position right now where they can't really turn down cash. And that sucks. And I hate saying that. And they have to have goodwill somewhere because between Inter's inability to control their racist fans, Lazio controlling their anti-Semitic, sexist, insert other horrific thing here, it's becoming very hard to promote Serie A. The fan base is, making it extraordinarily difficult for me to get on here anyway and talk about how great Serie A is and how people should watch. Now, if they want to take their business to China and go get that money, good luck. But I think it's a horrible idea.
Let's take a break right here and regroup, and then come back with a little more serious topic. And you kind of hinted at it a little bit there with an issue that's happening in Italy. It happened today in Montenegro. It's been happening in England as well. Lots of issues with racist fans and racist chants and racist gestures and all kinds of issues happening. We're going to get into that on the other side of the break. Hang out with us. Be right back.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer over there. Jason Longshore, Nick Alifi, Jarrett Smith, John Nelson. The whole crew is here talking about all of the craziness in the world of soccer. And crazy in the not fun way. Throwing toilets is not always the most fun, but it's more fun than this. You had some serious issues happen between England and Montenegro today. Raheem Sterling tweeted out about 50 minutes ago a picture of him with, looks like his fingers in his ears, and the tweet says, "Best way to silence the haters," parentheses, and yeah, I mean racists. And it's the hear no evil monkey and a kiss emoji and hashtag get some education. Darren Lewis on Twitter, Daily Mirror football writer, tweets out, loving Gareth Southgate calling out the racist abuse and sending out a strong message. Quote, "There's no doubt in my mind that it happened and it will be reported officially. I don't want to speculate, but I know what I heard." Unquote. This has been happening a lot lately, and we've talked about it before here. It feels like it's happening more, or it's being talked about more, and it could go either way. But Nick, you mentioned it, racist fans in Italy. You know, what's your experience on that side of things, and has it gotten worse, or is it just more in the spotlight right now?
It's more in the spotlight now. It's something that has been happening in Italy for a long time. We saw this really with Mario Balotelli. You saw this with Agbana. You saw this with Koulibaly. You saw this with Frank Kessie. And you have it where, Italy has played, in other countries where they formed human swastikas in the stands. You have they literally laid out human bodies that look like a swastika. It was absolutely horrific. You have Lazio ultras, making numerous anti-Semitic, not only anti-Semitic chants, but also passing out pamphlets, saying who can and who can't come into their curva. But also Inter this year, they racially abused Koulibaly and Frank Kessie, and they all they got was a suspended sentence. And it's something where, yeah, sure, you kick the ultras out for a game. That's, great, good for you. But at some point, these teams in Serie A are going to have to start closing down the stadiums. They're going to have to start locking the gates and booting the fans. And they need to do it like what happened with the Sicilian derby, where we had Catania and Palermo. A police officer was killed. They shut down all the stadiums in Serie A. They booted everyone. And for I want to say a week or two, they played without any fans in the stadium. I think that's the only thing you can do here. League-wide, shut it down. And if people come back in and continue this mess, you boot them again. And you do this until the fans get the idea that they don't run the show anymore. And in Italy, it's a major deal because the Ultras have so much sway over the board and ticket distribution, and it really is an organized operation to the point where it's difficult to punish them because they have such ability to control the gate pull for the team. And we sit here and cheer when Juve boots their Ultras out and brings in kids. They bring in local kids to watch the game, and that's fine and great. But has it changed anything at all? No. And then you ask the supporters who do this, and they're like, oh, well, we would say this whether Franck Kessie was black or not. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do this at all. It's because you're doing this because you're a scumbag. Get it right. And it's something that with social media, it has a larger spotlight. It is, because of the TV deal, it's becoming more prevalent. At least it's becoming more, it's getting more spotlight and shine here stateside. But it is growing, I think, throughout Europe in a way that we haven't seen in a long time, outside of just Italy. And now, in England, and then, also in this case with Montenegro.
Yeah, I think it's something that I don't know if it's happening more than it used to. I think that could be part of it in some parts of the world. I think people are no longer afraid to speak up about it either. And this is a good thing. A couple more quotes from Gareth Southgate. Miguel Delaney at The Independent. A couple great quotes from Southgate. He's becoming one of my favorite people in the game. He said, "It's a sad evening. I'm not the authority on the subject. I'm a middle-aged white guy talking about racism. I just want my players to enjoy their experiences. If I've not done enough, I'm sorry for that." And then this one kind of hits at where you're at, Nick. Sanctions are meaningless without education. And we have the same problem in our country. We have to make sure we educate young people. If you haven't read it yet, it hit a few hours ago on The Athletic. Dan Levine, who writes about Chelsea, with an outstanding long read about Chelsea's history with racism. And it's been ugly at times. It's been very ugly at times. One of the highlights of my time at Soccer in the Streets was getting to meet and talk to Paul Cannaville. Paul Cannaville was the first black player to ever play for Chelsea in 1982. We think about these things and this type of stuff being a long time ago. 1982. And one of the saddest things I've ever heard around this game was Paul Cannaville talking to a group of our kids about the first experience he had with the first team. And they were, I think they were away. I can't remember where they were. But he was on the bench, got the call to go warm up. He goes down to warm up, and he starts to hear things, racist things from the crowd. At first, he thinks it's the other team's fans yelling at him because he's for Chelsea, what have you. He turns around and he sees it's his own fans. And that was 1982. Chelsea's had issues lately be on both sides of it. They had issues in Ukraine. We've heard about issues in Russia. Chelsea's had issues doing this with Tottenham fans. I'm glad it's being talked about more because it is the ugliest thing about the game, and it being such a worldwide game, that you have people who have no other way to try to get under your skin than to go with something like this, whether it is race, whether it is sexual orientation, whether it is religion, to try to get a rise out of you. And there are fools who think that it's okay because it's all about the game and all about getting somebody to react. And there are incredibly racist fools out there as well. It's an ugly, ugly part of the game. And Jarrett, you being a fan of Celtic and following the game in Scotland, there's been issues between Celtic and Rangers for generations. And it's not all that different than some of these other issues we've been talking about.
No, and it's got a religious tension there, but you're still going to deal with the racist issues. You're going to deal with the sectarian issues. The jokes started flying when Neil Lennon took back over Celtic after Brendan Rodgers went back down to Leicester City. And, I think some of them were said in jest and some of them were said seriously. But even if they were said in jest, the tone is still there that it's still an issue. See, I think we have this in every sport. I think just in soccer, it's just the most blatant and the most, on the surface of out front racism in terms of our major sports of the ones that we have going on in the world today. Like, it's not as blatant in, say, baseball as it was in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. Still an issue, but I don't think it's as blatant as it is in soccer. But it is embarrassing. And I don't know what the overall solution is other than banning people. But, at that point, I feel like you're just mashing ants in an anthill.
I think Southgate's right. When he says that sanctions are meaningless without education, that's why we have to keep talking about it.
You keep hammering ants in an anthill. More of them are going to. You're not dealing with the problem. You're dealing with, the effects and dealing with parts of it, but you're not dealing with the source of the problem.
Yep.
It's such a powder keg with so many places, and Nick touched on it with Balotelli. If you haven't ever read before, go look up the article that Wright Thompson did a long form years ago. Mm-hmm. Where we went through Italy and talked to supporters around Italy about a guy like Balotelli, and it kind of always made me scratch my head. And I can understand, like, Balotelli is an enigmatic figure. He's odd. I love Mario Balotelli for all of the weirdness that he has. There are times, though, I wondered reading that, like, dude, just go play for the Black Stars and be a legend. Just I would never have blamed you a bit if you'd have said, no, I'm going to go play for Ghana.
No, but this is what you have right now, and people try to get into this whole thing about Mario Balotelli being a nut job, but keep in mind what this guy's
shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I mean
same with Boateng.
Yeah, but he every stadium that Balotelli stepped foot in Italy, he was racially abused, and that's from the time that he was like a kid, like 16, 17 years old. Getting absolutely just eviscerated by the fans, getting bananas thrown at him, monkey noises, like the worst of the worst. And then he goes and he puts on the blue for the country, and all of a sudden, oh, wait, everyone's cheering. Oh, here we go, because Balotelli's going to score. But then you still had that core group that was just like, well, we would rather lose and be out of the tournament and not score, as long as Balotelli's not on the field for us, because he doesn't represent Italy. He's not Italian. He doesn't look like us. And you heard this, and it was disgusting. And I love Balotelli. I'm sorry. I would love to see him come here and just thrive. I've screamed so many times at the TV and computer, Balotelli, just come to America, because he would be a king here. And I'm worried about a player like Mokin, who plays for Juve. And you don't see him that much because of the talented forwards they have there, including one scumbag, but that's beside the point. But he showcased this past weekend against Finland. And every time he touched the ball, he was electric. And you could see he plays with this incredible joy, and he's so much fun to watch. And I think everyone knows how much grief I give Juve. But, his family comes from Côte d'Ivoire. And as a result of this, he could have gone and played there and followed in Drogba's footsteps, right? But he chose Italy, and that's extraordinarily brave for him. And I just hope that whatever scumbags exist in Serie A, that they got all of their venom and BS. And I'm really trying to mute myself. If it sounds like I'm stuttering, it's because the first word that wants to come out is profanity, and I realize my son may be listening to this. I really hope they got all of their venom out with poor Balotelli and let this kid play, because I promise you the future of the Azzurri with Ken up top is far more promising than without, because this kid is unbelievable. And he scored this past weekend, and he's something that they have not had up top. I'll put the stamp on it since Roberto Baggio. That kind of electric person with the ball. Totti was one thing. Ken is another. I hope to God he ends up with AC Milan. They're talking about a deal. Maybe get it done. But something has to be done here.
Those Milan derbies will be a tinderbox.
Oh, it will be nuts. But my hope here is, yes, they will do the education side. But unfortunately, with Serie A, you're going to have to bring the stick, and you're going to have to shut down the stadiums.
You have to do both.
The way Serie A is going to do it.
You have to do both. And before you jump in, John, one of the things that really just crushed me reading the article from Dan Levine on The Athletic was he had a chance to talk to Paul Canaville, and Paul said last year when they talked about it, and that happened in the early 80s, and you're talking about a 2018 conversation, and Paul said they never went away. Talking about the fans, talking about those fans who did that to him. He said they're still here. They never went away. And what's, even more sad is now when you have stuff like what happened with Raheem Sterling, and you have Chelsea fans with the ongoing nonsense about Tottenham and the Jewish side of Tottenham. Now you're getting the people who never went away. Now their kids have joined them. And that's why the education component is so important. And I cannot give Gareth Southgate more credit. He needs all the credit in the world for not sweeping this under the rug, not allowing a reporter, and I don't know who it was, who said that Raheem Sterling's celebration tonight celebrated rather controversially. Somebody asked Gareth Southgate about that and mentioned that, and he went off on it. He should, and he didn't hide from it, and he didn't run away from it, and he called it out as he saw it. But he also said, and this is not new, he said it last year too, about, yes, this happens in different parts of the world, and it's happened to English players. It's also happened on English soil. And it's not a they problem, it's an our problem. If we're all part of the game, this has got to stop, and we've got to figure out ways to get it out of the game.
And, Jason, to your point, it is educational, and it has to start with the parents and the kids and saying, okay, line this up. This is wrong. You don't act this way. Sadly, though, we see more parents who want to continue the generational hooliganism, for lack of a better phrase. And I want to see more coaches address what their players are doing as they're combating racism in a celebration. I love seeing coaches sitting there and saying, yeah, he did what he did, and here's why it's wrong. And I think that the more people that you have in positions of authority and stature, like a Gareth Southgate, I'm hoping that over time you can have more of a discussion about it, and at the same time more of an impression as to why things need to change. So for me, absolute props to Gareth Southgate, and I think that we're all responsible for making sure that this slows. I'm not going to say stops, because we all know that it's going to take a long time for it to stop, but to slow and turn it around. So props to Southgate for what he did tonight.
Yeah, it's something that we have to talk about with international soccer. And I know there are people out there who may be thinking, well, why are we bringing this on, this kind of show? But it needs to be talked about. It's just something that has to be discussed.
It's an ugly part of the game. No, it's an ugly part of the game, and if we don't talk about it, it keeps festering, and it keeps festering underneath the surface, and it's part of the educational component of it. You have to talk about it, you have to call it out, and you have to work towards changing it. I've seen so many people, every time you get the chant that we don't talk about from Mexican national team fans, every time that comes up, I see so many people like, oh, see, it's never going to change. Well, that's a stupid response. Is it going to change overnight? No, because that's not how these things happen. But if you keep after it, and the Mexican
Yep.
Federation keeps working at it, and it keeps getting shouted down as stupid and behind the times and wrong, then it will change. It will take time, but it will change.
But and also do like they do in England. You identify the fan, you ban for life. You're gone. You are the example. Congratulations. You are the example. You are the person that mommy and daddy will point to and say, yeah, don't be like our kid here because we can't take him to the games anymore because he can't keep his mouth shut. And when that person becomes folklore, then maybe other people start realizing, oh, yeah, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this. And on top of the education, because that's a critical component. But start banning these clowns. Day one, ban them. We found you. There's no chances. There's no extra lives. There's no continues. Game over, man. Take off and nuke the entire site from orbit.
It's the only way this stuff changes, and as Southgate is rightly saying, yes, this is a horrible thing that's happened to an England player, but it happens on English soil as well. Don't think that it doesn't happen here. Remember Russell Westbrook, and remember what happened not that long ago in Utah.
Yeah,
and that got flipped on its head really fast. This is how it has to be to get this stuff out of the game or other games that we love, because it's an ugly part of it and nobody deserves this nonsense. So, yeah, I was a little riled up when I started to see this and see all of it come to the fore. It has to stop. It has to stop. It's not going to happen overnight, but that doesn't mean you let up on it either.
Then it's fine having these conversations for no other reason. They need to be had, and I don't know about y'all. I ain't got an issue making fun of racists and making them feel bad at this point and calling them out for it. Because, I mean, you can't make it a taboo like, oh, we can't talk. They did the thing. Nah, they were racist as hell. Like, they were racist pricks. I don't know what else you want from that conversation other than they were basura. So.
And here's the thing that we can talk about as well. And that is, my son, 9-year-old white kid, his hero is Joseph Martinez. Looks nothing like him. And that's the beauty of sports, is when you have someone who looks nothing like you, who becomes a hero and provides you with something that you can look at as a kid and say, wow, I want to do everything that player does. And my son, who is a striker, he scored in a U10 game, and he went and he did the Smokin' Joe celebration, where he acted like he took the drag off the cigarette and then pushed it out under his foot, and the whole crowd thought it was hilarious. But he wants to be like his hero, and in sports, with this exposure, let it be a positive thing for your kids. Let your kids look and say, wow, it doesn't matter that the name on the back of the jersey has an accent above it and your last name is Smith. That doesn't mean anything. What means something is your kid is starting to look at the world and say, that's my hero. I don't care what he looks like or he or she looks like. I don't care what they, like their religion. I don't care their orientation. That person is awesome and I want to be like them. And that's something that the world of sports can provide. So, and I'm going to use this as a seamless transition into Soccer in the Streets charity functions that are coming up and how you need to support it, because let's open the eyes of our local community to the beauty of soccer and provide more opportunities for kids out there. Felipe Cardenas, I've been DMing him, and he says he needs help with fundraising, guys. So,
tell him to be the man of the match.
Felipe, there you go, Felipe. You say you're an over 30 wing back. I'm calling you out to the streets, and I'm saying that from one defender to another, that your team's not going to get it done against me. I look like Cannavaro. I play like Cannavaro. I'm shutting it all down, and I'm going to look good doing it. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Wow. Man, that might have crossed the line a little bit there.
I love how Soccer in the Streets and combined with the SDH family has more over 30 wingbacks than DC United had wingers last year.
It's true.
Cincinnati doesn't have as many wingbacks as the SDH universe does.
What's SDH playing? They play an empty bucket. Why? Oh, it's empty. There's no empty.
Literally, there's nobody there.
There's no one
it's
there.
just wingbacks throwing in crosses like it's a blitzkrieg.
That's right. It's just lob after lob after lob. It's gonna be magisterial.
And there I'm gonna be in the middle
magisterial
back on goal.
That's right.
So in a bucket.
Peter Crouch.
If you are anywhere in the Metro Atlanta area, if you are on Twitter, it doesn't matter where you're at. Log on, find these people who are doing this Nations Cup. Click on their page, whether you like them, whether you don't like them. You can add a comment, say, Nick, I'm giving you $5. Please just shut up. I will take that gratefully. And so will any of the
Didn't say how long you had to shut up.
That's right. You didn't say how long. But from what I understand through my intelligence network, we have 25 spots available for players. Now you have to pledge to raise $125. That's not hard, guys.
No, that's not that difficult.
Oh hell, you need an immobile center back or an immobile striker for targeting, because I can pull that off.
No, Jarrett, you want to play in the black tie game. You don't want to play in this one. You don't want to play in this one, man. Just telling
Jason,
you.
Who has seen me strike a ball.
Yeah, I'm trying to help you out, man. Trying to help out.
So there we go. We have 25 spots available. If you are interested, you can go to Soccer in the Streets, sign up. You can go on the link on my page at Nick Alifi. It's there, and then you can go and utilize mine to hijack it and create your own wonderful account. So it's there. So use it and do wonderful things. Jason, what does Soccer in the Streets do for those who are new to this wonderful community, and how will this money be spent?
What are they with Don Pardo?
I can't tell you how it'll be spent because I don't know that part because I'm not making those decisions. But I can tell you that Soccer in the Streets is an organization that uses soccer to positively change the lives of kids who need it. You have so many different types of kids who participate in Soccer in the Streets, and that's what I always loved about it is you have programs in Clarkston that are heavily refugee. You have programs in Latin areas. You have programs on the west side of Atlanta, and you get these kids all playing soccer together against each other and on the same teams, and it's very cool to see the kids learn from one another. It's very cool to see them go through being a player and then learning how to referee and refereeing games, and some go down that path. Some become coaches. Some go on to play in college. There's been Soccer in the Streets kids who've went on to Atlanta United's academy, and that's what the program does. It's all about using the game to better the lives of the kids who are in the program. So the big push right now is the station soccer fields at MARTA stations, taking unused spaces and making them active. And it's worked really well at 5 Points MARTA station. It's working incredibly well at West End with 2 fields. And there's a couple more that are getting close to being ready to come online in 2019. And these types of fundraising events help make that stuff happen, as well as fund existing programs like programs in the DeKalb County elementary schools, programs in Atlanta public schools, programs in Cobb County, programs on Buford Highway, programs all over the metro Atlanta area. So what I always told people was every dollar helps. It might not seem like a big deal. Like if you think that Nick is not a good over 30 wingback and you only want to give him $5 and you only want to give him $5 because that's all you can spare right now, that $5 is really meaningful because it all adds up. And see, Gwen completely agrees.
As does Trooper.
And here's the thing. When I was in Sicily, all the way back in 1998, there were these little fields all over the place, these small little turf fields that anybody could access. And you want to talk about how the game grows? It's by giving kids access. That's how we talk about all the time. These kids need places to play. Well, we're through Soccer in the Streets, it's getting done, but it can only get done with more help. So I'm going to leave it at that. I know we're in official stoppage time, and I've been beating up the microphone with this. So let's make it happen. Let's fill those 25 spots. Players, come on, help Team Belgium out because Team Colombia is stacked and they want their trophy, but they're not getting it. Man. Because bright lights, big city, biggest house on the biggest hill on the biggest side of town, the diamond importer of the world, Belgium, Antwerp.
Just ask Tom Shane.
That's right.
True.
It's the home of big things, and that's what we need to do. We need to represent big with Team Belgium. So if you're out there, let's make it happen. Guys, anything else before we get out of here outside of thanking the wonderful public?
2 big games tomorrow to finish up the international break. U.S. and Chile. We'll see if the U.S. can create more chances than they did in the first game of the break. And then Mexico and Paraguay. We'll see if Tata Martino sees his 2 former players in Tito Villalba and Miguel Almiron hit the field for Paraguay.
Over in England, they're trying to figure out if Bolton Wanderers can actually get sold so their players can get paid. Birmingham City got a 9-point deduction for apparently overspending, bringing in players in the transfer windows, and Harry Redknapp is pawning it off on people above him, saying he had no idea that this stuff was going on while I was coach. And the great escape of great escapes continues. 4 points out of the relegation zone with 7 to play. AFC Wimbledon continues.
Ooh. How amazing would it be for Tito Villalba, who makes the jump from Argentina, his home country, goes to play in Paraguay, joins Kaku, joins Miguel Almiron. Really good team, by the way. How amazing would it be for those fellas to make the World Cup and Argentina stays home? Because right now, it ain't as irrational as you might think it is.
Well, Paraguay's got to keep a manager for more than 6 months.
That's true.
That too.
Brain
I
trust.
think they got a good one though. I think they've got a good one now.
Argentina's got to actually, show up the matches though.
Well, yeah, they got to actually have a manager. Scaloni's not exactly getting the job done.
No.
We'll see how they do in Morocco too.
I'm telling you right now, guys, if they raid Defensa y Justicia, I'm going to have problems, guys. I'm going to have problems, major problems.
I don't think they're going to get Kurt Cobain. I think he's going to stay.
Okay, good.
They did bring on Lisandro Martinez, who was on the back line. Newell's let him walk for like nothing. He goes to Defensa as part of one of the best teams that in the league, and then he goes to the Argentine national team, and he will probably go elsewhere for a whole boatload of money that will help Defensa become a mega power at some stage.
That's what I'm talking about. Also tomorrow, Italy versus Liechtenstein. 3:45 p.m.
How many goals?
I'm going to say I'll say
all the goals.
They'll go 4-0 because they'll turn it off after 3. They'll get one lucky one bounce their way for a 4th, and then they'll shut it down.
I got
Italy's
6-1.
It shut it down. You got 6-1.
6-1. It'll get
Low
weird.
goal.
Like they'll give up something sloppy.
Well, they're pressing now, which is really weird. Like Chiellini was like 28 yards from the goal, which was extraordinarily weird. Yeah, it was extraordinarily weird.
What?
I was like, I almost had a breakdown. It was.
I didn't think they even translated pressing in Italian.
Can we have a therapy session about that next week, about how you're handling that?
Yeah, because when you have the entire back line for Italy, like they are actually in the opponent's attacking third. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. Also, Spain, Malta, 3:45 tomorrow, and Sweden, Norway.
6-1 again.
At 3:45. So
all the goals.
Get your streaming subscriptions ready. Tell the boss you're sick. Sneak the iPad and or other streaming device into your office and turn the volume down very low. And make yourself like a Costanza apartment underneath your desk and make it happen.
So the afternoon games stink, basically, is what you're telling me.
I'm sorry. Some of us like watching our teams throttle lesser opponents.
Liechtenstein. Come on.
Liechtenstein. Look, I'm sorry, but Italy did not make the World Cup. And one thing that I'm very proud of is that a team against a team like Finland, they normally would have gone to sleep and would have walked out of there with a 1-1 draw, and instead they turned on the juice and got out of there with a big win. And they promised that they're going to go even harder from here on. There's no sleeping anymore, baby. We're wide awake. We put the pasta pork down. We're turning it up the juice.
Wait a minute. So you are like the U.S. fans who thought that everything was great in the 1-0 win over Ecuador.
No. Because you see, one team has a history of winning and stars that mean something above their logo. And the
now
other
here's your Missouri Smack to finish the show.
Yeah, neither one made the World Cup, so they're both starting from the same place.
It's okay. It's okay. When you win 4, you can kind of take a little bit of time off, and when you win none, you kind of have to show up to work.
To be fair, he's also cheering for a country that traditionally, like, a goal and some possession is. I mean, we're not pressing. We're just kind of hanging out with the ball here. Oh, you guys, you gotta do your thing. We got a couple shots on goal. We're gonna go home and get back some gelato.
Hey boys, did the turtle win the race? Did the turtle win the race?
The turtle never made it to Russia.
Huh? Yeah, the turtle won a race though, guys. It doesn't matter how.
Turtle's cold-blooded.
Yeah,
it's cold in Russia. Turtle's cold-blooded.
I'm just saying.
Turtle gonna do good.
Somebody's hoisted trophies outside of ones that they invented. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, they didn't invent the Gold Cup. Come on now.
Did they not?
No.
That design looks mighty mid-90s American. That's all.
Well, they might have paid for it, and the designer might have been American, but the national team didn't do it. CONCACAF technically did, but then Chuck Blazer probably paid for it. So anyway,
it must have been hard. It must have been hard beating Jamaica, rolling to your Gold Cup win there. That must have been mighty difficult. So,
totally unrelated. Can we put together a national team for the World Cup of a bunch of guys who just got left off their teams? Like, I don't know, some unnamed team. But like, oh my God, that unnamed team finished third in the group.
The unified team.
The unified team. That's what we need. Like, just like they do in the Olympics. Like when they
Kareem Benzema is like rocking out the Olympic team. 4 goals. Wesley Sneijder's out there just doing his thing.
Oh, that
wild card team.
Oh my God, that
yes. A wild card team of a bunch of guys who got left off their national teams and don't know when to quit.
Okay, next week we're putting together all-time our all-star team, our loser all-star team.
Samir Nasri.
Yep, it's happening. Okay, that's next week's show. We're getting out of here. We've gone way, way over. It's Nick Leafy, Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jared _Smith. Tomorrow, they're going to be back on Soccer Down Here. Tune in. Gentlemen, mucho, mucho euro, y'all.
All the lyrics.